Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Donna Tubbs from the Cleveland Show. She goes with the rest of my Cleveland Show set. For this tutorial, this pattern, you're going to want some beads for the eyes, or you can use white or black bands. You will want a Sharpie brown and or black and or brown if you're doing beads for the eyes. I've added some beads for the jewelry, that's optional. You need black for the hair, brown for the skin, white for the shirt, and purple for the legs. You're also going to want on hand some dental floss or thin string or wire, a couple of holding hooks, and your loom in the offset configuration, and where you need a couple of C-clips. I should add here for the legs, you do have a bit of a choice in color. I did purple the first time. I think I'm going to use this kind of light turquoisey blue this time just to try it out. I don't have an exact match, so you kind of have to play around with that. Let's start with the arms. We're going to take 2 brown bands, wrap them around the hook 1, 2, or 3 times, and we pull this onto 6 sets of double brown bands. So take 2, slide it over, another 2, slide it over, our 3rd set, 4, 5, and 6. We switch to white, and we're going to put this onto 2 sets of double white bands. This is for the sleeves. We're going to make our other arm in just a second the exact same way. Want to make sure the right ones went through there. Yeah. So we'll do this again a little bit faster. 2 brown bands, wrap it 2 or 3 times, and we pull onto 6 sets of double brown. And trying to find some that aren't too stretched out here. This is 5, and one more set will make 6, and 2 sets of double white. Now you can leave these on this same hook, or you can put it onto a holding hook. It's up to you. I think I'm gonna put them on a holding hook just to get it out of the way so you can see better. So I'm running my hook through all of the loops. You can do it top down or bottom up, whichever. Just make sure you've got them all. Put it to the side, and we're going to start on the shoes. Reiterate, you could do this in purple or in blue. I'm going to do blue, so that's my color here. We take 2 of your pant and shoe color, wrap it 3 times, and we'll pull this onto 2 of the same color. Put the other end back. We take 1 brown and we'll wrap it on the end 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Take the first part of your original blue loop here and slide it over your brown piece so that it sits in the middle. And we're going to put this onto another 2 of your shoe color. Try and keep it kind of in the same order with your brown still in the middle. Just going to turn this sideways for a second to get a better grip here. Put the other end back. We're going to take another single brown, wrap it on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring one side of your pant color, your shoe color over, and sandwich that in. And now we're going to put this onto 2 brown bands. Check checking this is all right here. And the second one, oh no, that should be blue. My mistake. 2 more blue. This is our last set of this. 2, 3. No, that was right. Okay, sorry. We're actually going to do a doubled over brown. That's going to kind of clinch this in. Okay. And then from there we go to back to our bluey color. Just get this right in the middle. I want your brown to still sit in between your blue pieces. Okay, and we have just one set of double blue. We're going to put this on for now. And this can go on the side as well. This brown piece doesn't want to stay in the middle, does it? And this is going on the side, and we're going to make another one for the other foot extension. Let's try and even this out again somewhere. There we go. Okay, next foot, 2 of your shoe color, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times, pull it onto 2 of the same color. Put it back, take a single brown, wrap 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring your shoe color over so the brown rests in the middle. And we're going to transfer this all into 2 more blue. Let's do another set of brown, or another single brown I should say. 4. Pull one side over. We're going to bring this onto doubled over single brown again. And then onto double blues. Alright, so those are our feet. Put that to the side for now. We'll have a couple of extensions to make later, but we'll kind of do that as we get to them. So let's come to the loom. And we're going to start with double brown bands from the top center to the second center peg. We're going to take 2 bands and come down to the right side on the second peg. And repeat that for the left side. And come down once in the middle with double brown bands. Now we switch to white, and in the middle we're coming down with 4 sets of double white bands, starting at the 3rd peg down. And the next part is a set of double bands on either side from the 2nd to the 3rd peg down. And after this next part is optional. It will make things a little bit tighter to work with. But what you can do is you can add 6 bands or 8 bands on the 3rd peg to the 4th peg, and that gives it a bit of added thickness in the chest area. But if you feel like that's too much, you can just do 2. I'm going to put on 6 this time. My original, I believe I used 8. You can make it thicker or thinner as you like. 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can see just on the side, those ones are a little bit thicker. And we'll come down 2 more times with just double white bands on either side. Now we go back to our pants color, and you're coming down once in the middle from your 7th peg in to the 8th peg down On either side, we're going to go right to the end of the loom using double bands, but just before you do, on the left side, or you could do it on both or either, but I added a little bit of extra thickness on the side, so if you want, you can put some extra bands onto these pegs, your 6th to your 7th, and if you'd like, you can even add a little extra thickness on the one above. I'm just going to use doubles here because I feel like I had to do a lot of cinching in on this when it was done. Maybe I'll do 4, just 4. It's also a little bit more thick with the gel bands versus the opaque here. Those are opaque. Okay, so from here we continue down to the end of the loom, double bands on either side, not in the middle. Let's hold this up for you in a second here. So from the top of the loom to the bottom, this is what you have so far. You can put your feet on the bottom peg on either side, and your arms can go onto your second peg down on either side. You want to try to kind of angle them so that they're curling out the right way. That might mean coming at it, putting it on sort of upside down, or switching it around, or you can just kind of press it into place. We want 2 of our pants color to come up from your 8th peg down in the middle where you finish your blue, up to the 7th peg down on the side, so it's moving up diagonally. And we're going to do the same thing from the left to the center. Now I'll tell you now, you have 2 choices with this part when we're looping. You can put a cap band on here now and loop these up. Or what we're going to do is we're going to loop up the side and then loop these down. So if you think that's going to be too difficult, you can always cap it now and pull it upwards and just loop it forward like as normal. Let's put on some triangle bands next. We want a doubled over single white to go across our 3rd pegs down. So stretch it, twist it, fold it onto itself. This goes onto all of the 3rd pegs. It'll make a little triangle there. We need 2 more doubled over single white bands just below that. So on your 4th pegs down, and on the 5th pegs down. And your next one can be single, and it will be blue. We're going to match the color on the side, and the last one we're going to double over. This one's actually kind of optional. You can leave this single if you want. Maybe we'll do that single, but it's okay if you want to double that as well. Okay, so we can make our side extension, which gives a bit of that round shape. We're going to take a single pant colored band, wrap it 2 times. You're going to have 3 loops, and we pull this onto 6 sets of double turquoise bands or pant color bands. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and get 1 set of double white bands. Throw that on the end. We're going to take the bands from the hook and transfer them onto your 5th peg down on the side. So it's sitting just on the peg above your blue triangle, or your pant triangle. At the very bottom of your chain, you're going to see that first wrapped cap. It looks like 3 loops. You want to put your hook in and pull that onto the second peg from the bottom of the loom. Okay. Now from each part of the chain, you want to grab a little piece, one section, and pull it over the nearest corresponding pegs. And this one, and this one, and the weight is on. Let's make that for the opposite side. Single blue, wrap it once and twice, pull it onto 6 sets of double pant color. And 6. Grab a set of double white. Pop it onto the 5th peg down on the right side or your opposite side. Get inside your cap band and pull that onto your 2nd peg from the bottom of the loom. And we're gonna tug a little piece of each chain onto the nearby pegs. We're almost ready to loop this up. This is going to be our body, and then we can make our head, our face, and attach it all. I'm going to triple check we've got everything, and it looks good. Okay, let's start looping. So if you used a cap band on the center, you can loop up from the center and then come to the bottom and loop. I'm going to start at the bottom instead. Go under your shoe, get your bottom 2, loop them up and over and forward. Now you have a lot of the same color of bands on your next peg. You want the 2 that are on the bottom and they're coming from the peg above. Take the open part of your hook and point it away from you. Push back everything, grab your bottom 2. You can hold them to the side if you need to. Move it forward. And we're going to do this until we reach this kind of hip area. There shouldn't be too much really blocking you, just a lot of bands around. Now we go under the cap band. We take those 2 bands that we were bringing to the center, and we bring them back down. We're going to do the same on the other side, and then we'll continue upwards on all of our rows. So go to the bottom, get under your shoe, loop forward, only going for the bottommost bands, and you can turn your loom sideways if it helps. Or as I say, hold the bands you're looking for out to the side. Stop when you get to the hip area, go under the holding band and bring those 2 bands inwards to the center. From here, I'm going to just secure these in place by going through that middle piece and reaching for the bottom 2 blue bands. And those are going to be brought forward. Just have to find them first. There's 1. And here's 2. And now we can loop up on each of our rows. So if I turn back to the side, I see there's a piece here that's really thick. This is where I had my 4 bands. And I want to make sure that I get all 4 of them and loop them forward. If you want, you can move them a couple at a time, or you can move them all together. Bringing my weights up, I'm pushing back my triangle band to get inside and take only the bottom 2. Push back the triangle band. And this time, if you followed my example here, you have many bands. You can bring them through all together or a couple at a time, but if you put 8 bands there, make sure you get all 8 of them. Go inside again and get your last 2. And then reach in, take your bottom 2 brown, pull them to the side if you need to, and you're bringing those from the second left to the second center. We can finish looping up on the right side. I'm going to follow the same process. Get all of the bands that come from your peg above, push back your triangle holding bands when you get to them, And at the very top, we're taking our brown bottom 2 bands and bringing them to the center again. Let's finish up the middle. Go to the turquoise, that's your 7th peg down. Grab the whites and bring them forward, and we keep going now until we reach the top of the loom. You'll see right around this neck piece here, we have a number of bands, so if you need to pull these to the side, that's fine. Push back everything, take your bottom 2, bring them forward. Now, you don't want to lose the bands on the top center peg. You can put them on a hook, put them on your finger, or just put your finger on top to keep them secure there. And we're going to take the rest of the body off of the loom. Keep an eye out for any loose bands. We were working with a lot of bands in certain sections, so if you see something popping loose, you want to grab it now before it gets to be a problem. And if you do grab it, you can weave it in, you can put it on a C-clip. You can just be aware that it's there, and as I say, try and fix any problems, catch them before they become unfixable. We're sort of trying to take this off from the topwards to the bottom. And when you've got most of it loose, you can put your hook through the bands on the top center peg and take the rest off. So you can sort of decide which side you like for the front and which for the back. And I'll show you a couple of ways to tidy off this this middle area as well. Don't worry about it if it looks a little lumpy right now, we will fix that. But first let's put this onto the body, onto the head. So for the head, we're going to use black bands and start with 2 from the top center to the top right, 2 from the top center to the top left, and come down on the right one time with double black bands. On the left, we want 2 brown bands. And in my original here, I used black bands on the next set. We're going to try it with brown bands and see how that is. But if you like this look, you can keep these top ones brown. That's very black. You have to forgive me, it's been a really, really long day. I just got home a little tired, but trying to keep my focus here for you. We're going to come down 2 more times in the center with double brown bands. If you want her face to be a little bit rounder, you can come down an extra set on each of your rows. I didn't try it. Mine is kind of a little bit more square flat, but if you want roundness, you can go 1 further in each row. You're just gonna have to do the hair a little differently, like add a set for each. Otherwise, if you're okay with that sort of squat shape, you're coming down twice on either side now. We're using double brown from the 2nd to 3rd peg on either side. And we want to come to the center with double brown bands from the right 3rd to the center 4th, from the left 3rd to the center 4th. For your eyes, if you are using bands, you can take your bands, the color of your choice, and wrap them each 1, 2, 3 times. I'll just show you this as an example, kind of. Pull them both onto a single brown band and stick it across the 2nd peg, from the 2nd peg on one side to the 2nd peg on the other. If you're using beads with a small hole, you can, I'll demonstrate here quickly. You can take a thin piece of dental floss or string. You can put it through both of your beads. These do have a larger hole, but if they had a smaller hole, this would work very well. You put this through your brown band and then back through your beads with the small hole, both of them, and they will slide on. Now, if, like me, you have beads with a larger hole, really easy, you just pop them onto your hook, transfer it to your band. And yes, I've got pupils drawn on here already, it's okay. I'm just going to roll them to the back after. Whatever kinds of eyes you use, they will go from your 2nd peg to your 2nd peg. And you want to go in between and pull 1 piece over the 2nd peg on the center. Let's put on a holding band. It's just going to be a single brown across your 3rd pegs. And then we're ready to start on our hair. And I'll make another note here, which is that I did not put a mouth on. I played around with red bands for the lips, but it always came out kind of lumpy looking. So if you think of an idea that works, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Meantime, let's move on to the hair chains. We are going to use black for the hair. And if you have made the face a little bit longer, maybe I will. Maybe I will see how that goes. If you've made the face a little bit longer, which is totally optional, you can make your hair chains a little bit longer too. I'm just extending the face because I think I do want mine to be a little bit rounder. So I'll tell you how to do the hair chains for the extended face and how to do it for the shorter face if you want. Just make sure we have holding bands on all of these sets here. Now for the hair chains, we're going to start on the left side. We're going to take a single black, wrap it once or twice, and pull it onto 4 sets of double black bands. Now because I've extended mine, I'm actually going to add a 5th set, so it's just a little bit longer, but you can keep it short or you can keep it at this length if you're using the shorter face. This goes on the top peg on this side, and you're going to take a little bit of each of the next sections, so stretch it down, pull it over the second peg down, a piece of the next chain will go onto the third one down, and your last piece will go onto the 4th peg down. Okay, so the chain is sitting, it's stretched out, pulled to connect onto each of those. On the opposite side, I'm actually going to pull the eyes down since we're making the face longer. That's optional too. The other side, we start with, we're going to have 2 chains, they're going to overlap. So the bottom one will be a single black wrapped twice, pulled onto 2 sets of double bands, and if you're doing the longer face, we're going to make this 3 sets. This goes onto your second peg down on the side, on the right side. Oops. That wasn't good. Got a broken band. You're going to take a piece out of that chain, pull it down over the peg underneath, and 1 more to go over the peg underneath that. And if you had the shorter face, you were just using 2 in your chain, 2 sets. And our last chain, we're almost done here, a single wrapped twice, pulled onto 2 sets of double bands, and this can be the same for whichever kind, like whichever size you're doing. And we're going to put this onto, oh no, we want 3, my mistake, we do need 3 because we're going to pull this around the top. So this goes onto the top center peg, and we're going to stretch it down, put 1 piece onto the first peg on the right side, connect it, and 1 onto the set underneath that. So this is what you have. Figure out which side of your body you want on the front and which on the back. I'm going to switch mine around, I think. And this goes onto your 5th peg down on the center. If you had the shorter pattern, then it will be on the 4th peg where you ended that. And I've just stretched it down here so you can see a little bit better. And we're ready to loop this up. So you're going to go under your neck piece, find your top 2 bands, and bring them over to the left. Go back inside, get your next 2 and bring them to the right. And then we're going to loop straight up the center. You can loop all the way if you want, or you can, I think we'll loop all the way. But just before you place the last one on, I'm actually going to suggest, so that we have the black showing on top, take your black bands off of that top center peg. Just hold on to them. You can put it on your hook or your finger. Loop up your brown, the last set in the center, and replace those black bands carefully from the side. That was part of our extension there. And just this way the brown won't be showing. Now on the left side, you're going to go under the 4th peg down and loop up your brown bands once and twice. And this next time what we're going to do, you can again put this on a hook or a holding hook or even the same hook. I'll show you with the separate hook here. We're going to take the black bands off that top left peg, go inside the 2nd peg down, bring the 2 bottom bands forward, and replace the black bands. And this way they appear on top. It's an extra step, but it looks a lot cleaner. And we can loop from the top side to the top center. And on the right side, we go under the 4th peg, loop our 2 browns forward. I'm just going to put that back and do that properly. Something came off here. Okay. It's 1 and 2. You can loop your next 2 browns forward, and if you want you can take off the black bands on the 2nd peg down to make sure those go on top, but I'm gonna just go forward here. And we'll go forward again, bottom 2 black. It's the same color so we don't have to worry about the positioning. Your last 2 bottom 2 black come from the top right to the top center. Now we take a single black band, or 2 if you want it extra secure, stretch it on your left finger with your right finger, your right hand. Take your hook, point the open part away from you, and dig it through all of the bands on this top center peg. Catch your black band and slide it through. While you're coming up, you want to twist your hook forward so that the open part is facing up. Put your other end on and take one side of the band and loop it over the other. Hold on to that, put it on a hook or a C-clip, and we're going to take this off of the loom. Okay, so that came out really, really round. And I'll put both pictures in the thumbnail so you can make an informed decision. But yeah, so we've got most of our character. Figure out which side is your front, and you're going to pop your eyes through a little bit. On the back side, you want to get your hook under some bands, a couple of nearby bands by the top, and slide your back holding band into it, or securing band into it. I'm gonna pop it under a couple of others. So you put a band onto your hook, put your loose band on, and then slide one over the other. We'll put the C-clip on here. I'll show you what to do for the legs to get it looking a little bit tighter. If you have some extra bands here that you don't want it as loose, you can go under a couple of bands, grab your loose ones, hook it under. Grab your loose one, hook it under, grab your loose one, hook it under. Hopefully yours came out a little bit tighter, so it's not a problem. And I'm just going to get this to sit up here. We'll put that on another C-clip. And I'll put that under a nearby band. And the other thing is to get the legs to sort of sit together. I'm going to turn it to the back again. Going to go through a couple of bands on one side, a couple of bands on the other side, and I'm going to take the first set and pull it over the second set. Or you can even put another band there too if you want. I'm going to weave it under a couple of bands, and I'm going to pop this on my same C-clip. Or you can, well, of course, use a separate C-clip if you want. And that gets the legs to sort of sit together. We're almost done here. I'm kind of sorry I didn't use the pearl beads for these eyes, but whichever beads you've used, you can draw on your pupils at this point. If you want to do earrings or a necklace, for the necklace, all you need is a piece of dental floss and some beads. Or you can wrap some bands and throw them onto a single band. I'm just going to pick some random colored beads here and do a quick demo. So for the necklace, you would take some floss or wire, get a straight piece maybe, You need maybe 3 inches worth just to be safe. You're going to thread on as many beads as you want, and it'll be more or less depending on the size. Ideally you want a kind of a gold or a yellow color because that's the color that she has in the cartoons. And when you feel that you have enough of them, you're going to take this, I'm just going to put a couple more, and you can tell you have enough because when you bring it around it's gonna stop itself at a point. And when you have as many as you'd like, you're just going to wrap it right around the neck, turn it to the back, and tie yourself a few knots. And you can actually secure this by putting some clear nail polish on. It helps it hold. I'll show you also how to make the earrings if you want. The earrings are a little bit trickier, and you might find a method you prefer. But I'm going to show you what worked for me. I took a single bead, a little bit larger than the necklace beads, put it on my floss or string. I tied a single knot around it, and then I went to the side of the face. I got a little piece, I'm going to point with my pointer, of the brown cheek, and I pressed this underneath that. And this keeps it all from slipping to the back together because you can see now it's secured around that brown piece. Then I took both ends and I put it through the hair, through one of the gaps in the black of the hair. You can do it lower or higher as you like. Okay, stick with me, I just got one more thing to show you after this. And once these are on the back, you can, almost there. There we go. Once those are at the back, you can tie the string together at the back, put some nail hardener on, and trim the excess. Now the last thing I want to mention is you'll see there are parts where the hair might be a little loose, and we're going to do something similar to what we did with the pants. So you turn to the back, you go through a little piece of hair, 1 or 2 strands of hair, you go through a piece of the face. If you want, you can put a new band on and pull it through all of it and loop it around, or you can just take your black bands and slide them over the brown on your hook. You can do that a couple of times. You can weave it in a little tighter, and you can use the same C-clip you used for your securing band, or you can use a new one. And at any rate, we're gonna just pop that on. Doesn't want to go. And that gets the hair to sit a little bit tighter. So those are the 2 versions that we can do of Donna Tubbs from the Cleveland show. I have about half the set already. I'm working on the last couple hopefully soon. And I thank you for watching. Please check out my other tutorials.